Welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Sunday's edition of the DCU Daily. Yes, a very, very old Superman t-shirt. I'm not buying James Gunn's shitty Kingdom Come logo because I always questioned the idea of promoting this Superman movie on the Kingdom Come element because guess fucking what? This isn't an adaptation of Kingdom fucking Come. I would have welcomed that, by the way. It's, we all know this anyway. It's supposed to be a type of a reverse Kingdom Come. But don't get too fucking excited about that. My nephew has become very, very interested in my YouTube channel, and he's shocked to his core that suddenly I'm getting a lot of views and subs. Thank you kindly for everyone who's decided to support this channel since my video, I've Seen Superman. Now, I know I'm getting a lot of abuse for that video. I'm being accused of being a liar, etc., etc., etc. This is what happens when you tell people what they don't want to hear. I'll never tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you the truth, not the universal factual truth. There's no such thing. Our truth is our truth, right? So I don't have to be universally right. All I have to be is right from my own point of view. And we're all always right from our own points of views. So I want to thank everyone who's come in and defended my honour and my integrity, because we all know, I do have integrity. My platform, Movies TV Mad, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitter, whatever, and my other platforms that are not Movies TV Mad, like on TikTok and all of them, where I'm just having a bit of a laugh and all of that. None of it is monetized. I never had the intention of monetizing my YouTube. I never thought I would be successful. I never have been successful. I've been making videos on here since 2018, and mostly most people don't give a shit about what I say and what I post. But suddenly, I've claimed that I've seen a Superman movie, which I did. But me making a video titled I've Seen Superman will not monetize me. I will not become monetized. I don't publicize my videos. I don't market my platform. I share my video once on Facebook and my Twitter account, and that's that. Once I've recorded the video and it's uploaded, I move on. I allow you to consume what I've said, comment, read the comments. I rarely had the time because I'm writing 2 movies and I'm performing with my Amateur Dramatic Society and I'm doing auditions here in Cyprus all the time for Cypriot Television. Very, very busy. Unfortunately, I don't have time to reply to your comments on YouTube. But if you do want to interact with me, you can interact with me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Don't DM me because I don't get involved with DMs. I think they're dangerous and, there's no witnesses and I don't like that. But on my timeline, if you want to at me and say something to me, fine. Try and be constructive, though, even if you don't agree with me. We can have a healthy debate. It's okay to agree, to disagree, shake hands, and still be friends. So yes, my nephew is shocked. Why, uncle? Why are all these people watching your channel? I like to think it's because they can see I have integrity, that, that I'm a straight shooter. I'm telling you what I think. I'm not pretending. I'm not a dictator. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm merely telling you what I think. So I'll give you a shout out, my nephew Gabriel. I think that's why people are coming in to this channel right now, because they want to know. They have a right to know if this Superman film is worth spending their money on. Because I have a great empathy and sympathy for working class people who can barely afford to feed themselves or their partners or their children. And I have empathy. I don't want you giving billionaires more fucking money. Hollywood is creatively bankrupt. My New Year's resolution was to, opt out of every streaming service, which I did from January of this year because I wasn't watching their propaganda shit. Remember the Cleopatra documentary claiming that Cleopatra was black over on Netflix? Enough was enough. So now I just watch my physical media. Maybe it's a Superman movie, maybe it's the A-Team, maybe it's Knight Rider. Right now I'm rewatching Quantum Leap. No, not the shitty reboot, not the one that says it's good to see yourself on the screen. No, the god core original peak Quantum Leap with one of the most amazing actors I've ever seen perform the art form, Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell, and created by Donald P. Belisario. If you haven't seen that show, go and watch it. It's fucking amazing, and I still cry when I watch it. Scott Bakula as Sam Beckett. Wow. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Quantum Leap. So as you can tell, I love a lot of old entertainment, and I have a lot of it to consume. But anyway, I have no faith in this industry anymore. I don't think we're ever going to be back, by the way, when you've got things like Superman and another Jurassic Park movie. Once you've seen one Jurassic Park movie, you've seen them fucking all. Or Fantastic fucking Four, not interested in that either. But I love Superman. He's my man. He's my hero. So even though I've opted out of most, modern day entertainment, I'm always going to watch a Superman movie. I had the opportunity to see this Superman movie, so I did. And I made the decision to make a video and tell you my non-spoiler thoughts. People have shouted about me being sued and this and that. But what's interesting to me is, very interesting actually, that other people who've seen this movie are coming out talking about it on social media, right? And I'm not going to get sued, and neither are they. I actually have a group chat on WhatsApp with other people who have seen this movie. And it's a very, very interesting, dynamic, fun group chat. And it's split down the middle. I'll be honest with you, it's split down the middle. So you've got, actually it's split more than down the middle. So you've got the people who think, yeah, that was good, that was okay. You've got the people who find it underwhelming, and the people who find it goddamn cringe and fucking awful. So there's no one on this group chat who thinks this is the most amazing movie ever. And that's interesting. But as I said yesterday, there is no doubt in my mind, knowing what I know about this film and knowing what I know from other people who saw this movie as I did, that the reviews for this movie are going to be mixed, and that is going to tank the Rotten Tomatoes scores and the other aggregate scores and the cinema scores. The cinema score for Superman is going to be very, very interesting, as I said the other day. But this group chat's interesting. It's a bit like, I don't know, operating on someone, opening them up and saying, oh dear, this person doesn't seem to have a heart. This person doesn't seem to have any kidneys. That's what opening up this movie. And I spoke about this movie and the analysis of this movie. And, when Gunn was making Guardians and the Suicide Squad, nobody gave a shit, because that's what he's good at doing. That's why he got away with some of the things he's not really good at. Humor is something that Gunn simply isn't good at. And you either find his jokes funny or you don't. But once you've seen one James Gunn film, you have seen them all. So he was totally wrong for Superman. And I said this from the very beginning. But I tried at the beginning, actually for a very, very long time, to sit on the fence. And my arse got so sore from sitting on the fence. But I always knew, and I always pledged to you, my audience, once I saw this movie, I would be honest. And I told you, if I loved this movie, I would fucking tell you that I loved this movie. If I don't like this movie, I was going to tell you I didn't like this movie. The reality is that there's things I actually like about this film, but this film is utterly problematic because the man who wrote and directed it is a lazy used car salesman. And as I say, I've enjoyed his previous works, but his previous works haven't been my favourite God-tier hero in all of fiction. And that makes a fucking difference. You can't make a Superman movie like you make a Guardians movie or the Suicide Squad movie. And you can't be making a Superman movie then rushing over to other sound stages to direct and supervise your Peacemaker Series 2 show. That is totally irresponsible. Your studio that you're a co-fucking CEO of cannot release a TV spot or a sponsorship clip of Superman flying that is hideous, and then a few months later, after trying to defend it, by the way, and his fans trying to defend it, admits that he didn't check the clip. As I said before, how can you even fucking come out and admit that? Some people will say, well, that's refreshingly honest. I think it's refreshingly fucking stupid. I've always said he's a smart guy, but clearly he's not that smart, and he's not as honest as he comes across. But totally the wrong man to make this movie. But this platform's about asking you to make your own minds up. You can watch my videos, you can listen to my points of view, but as I've said before, I am not a dictator. It was obvious what was going to happen to this movie. He is not the man. People say to me, all right, Mick, what would you do if you were in charge? Peter Jackson? Steven Spielberg? I'd force George Lucas out of fucking retirement. But basically, my number one requirement for people making DC content, not content, because we hate that fucking word. You see, they got me fucking saying that horrible robotic term. My requirement for anyone making a DC movie or a TV show, you actually have to know these fucking characters. No, I don't want you to study them. I want you to know them. I want you to have an opinion on them, right? James Gunn doesn't particularly like Superman. I think he thinks Superman's a dumb, stupid-ass superhero from a bygone era. I believe that. So his heart, they asked a guy to make a Superman movie whose heart was never in it, ever. And this is where the real problem lays, and you can see it within this movie. Because everyone who saw this movie is in agreement that this isn't one of the most wonderful things ever. And one of the things I said from the very beginning, James Gunn has set his stall out, believing, as his fans do, that he's a Martin Scorsese, that he's a Coppola. He had to make the best CBM, the best movie, the best Superman film ever made. And here's the thing. And I remember, like, Dick Donner saying, and I mentioned this the other day, don't think you're smarter than the material. Get into the material. Now that's what James Gunn should have done. He had one job. Make, a paint by numbers, simple, colourful, inspirational Superman movie. Because the people who hated the Snyderverse demanded that. This is not what he's done here. He's tried to tick every single previous Superman live action iteration box so he can please everyone. And he's even ticked off quite a few graphic novel boxes. And it's not going to work. You can't do a bit of everything. I keep on hearing, them saying, well, I'm a Smallville fan. James Gunn's now said he's a Smallville fan. What's that director's name who's producing Ironheart? Forgot that director's name. Now, we were talking about him yesterday. He tried to claim he's a Smallville fan. They're trying to use one of the greatest god-tier DC Superman adaptations to sell their shit, and no one is going to fall for it. But let's talk about integrity. One of the accusations made to me when I've been called a liar and being accused of actually not having seen this Superman movie is, mate, we've never heard of you. Well, you've heard of Brandon Davis. You've heard of Soup's Matt Ramos. We know those two men have no integrity. We know they're a couple of used car salesmen. They have been caught in their lies, right? Matt Ramos told us the Flash movie is one of the best movies ever. And he was fucking lying. They all came out of that CinemaCon having seen the Flash, knowing that they'd seen a piece of fucking shit. A movie drenched in fucking cow dung. Probably a movie secretly written and secretly reshot by James Gunn. That's a little theory I've had for the past few weeks, and it's something I absolutely now believe since I've seen Superman. Interesting. This is where we are in entertainment. But we have this situation now with people like Matt Ramos and Brandon Davis, who keeps on quote tweeting people who say, we don't trust you, we don't believe you, you're just a fucking shill. You're given drinks, you're given popcorn. And Brandon Davis responds with things like, I have coffees with actors and directors. I swap emails with actors and directors. The only reason those people are fucking talking to you, Brandon, is because they fucking have to promote their creatively bankrupt shit. Because they think you have influence. Your influence ended a long time ago. I'm not an influencer. I'm just an ordinary fan. And I'm telling you, aggregate scores, Rotten Tomatoes, cinema scores have to go. The thumbs up and thumbs down culture has to fucking go. Con artists, lying influencers and YouTubers have to fucking go. What we need are real storytellers in entertainment. Move away from the Hollywood system, right? Don't base an industry anywhere. We need people from film schools and drama schools like we had back in the 70s with George Lucas and Coppola and Scorsese to be allowed to make their movies, to make risky, edgy movies. That's what we need. And we need an industry that's not too worried right now about making lots of money, but making great movies. Because if you build a foundation on great movies and great television, eventually the people will come back. Because Hollywood is dead. LA is dead as an entertainment making medium because people have had enough. People are bored of superhero and comic book movies. They've had enough. They want real stories. They want to feel something when they're watching a fucking movie or TV show. They don't want to be watching stuff out of fucking loyalty. And why should you and I have loyalty to an industry that fucking despises most of us? Who's more interested in creative bankruptcy, extremism, and spreading their own propaganda rather than entertaining people.